All right, this is Louis George Walker with the BFTAA and more show. Not going to belabor this show a long time this afternoon, but just want to give you some information and news that is going on. There's a lot of news happening. First, let me introduce the show. Yes, this is Louis George Walker, and I am the president of the Black Family Technology Awareness Association in partnership with the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center. And we have formed this group or this radio station. I need to start this all over again. Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the BFTAA and More Show with your host, Louis George Walker, and I'm glad to join you. KUAW Radio is glad to present this. KUAW is a partnership between the Black Family Technology Awareness Association and the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center. We've come together to form this radio station, KUAW, which stands for Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. So we come in every week, and I'm looking over things to start, y'all. You're picking us up on YouTube, not on Facebook right now, and we're on Twitch. You can also pick us up on the internet radio sites that we're on. That's Get Me Radio, My Radio Tuner, the TuneIn app, and on smart speakers. If you have a smart speaker, you tell it to play KUAW, and we'll come in on that also. So we're coming to you live a lot of different ways, and we're just glad to be here today. Yes, 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 this is great. All right, all right. So it is a Monday and the sun is shining right here in Kansas City. It feels good. It's looking nice outside. The TikTok handle so you can get KUAW on TikTok so we can build up our followers. As we build up our followers on TikTok, then we'll be able to start our live broadcast. So we'll have to build up our followers first, and then our live broadcast will start after that. So look for us next week to be posting on TikTok. Yes, yes, yes. We're going to go ahead and go to it. I don't know if the Chinese are going to get our information or not, but we'll be out there for us. China probably already knows enough about KUAW and BFTAA if they wanted to. It's on our webpage. Also, we're getting closer to rolling out our new web page. We're doing some testing, and I believe we're going to do some transfer of ownership and a few other things behind the scenes to get this new BFTAA web page up. So that should be happening pretty soon. I don't want to say a deadline because we've been working on it for a little while, but we're going to be doing that. Now, things going on in the news. One thing that we saw this weekend was Elon Musk and President Trump having it out. Looks like the friendship or the bromance, as some people are saying, is over. And Elon has left the White House. He was leaving anyway, but I guess this last bill, even after he had left, was getting under his skin, and he had let people know that he thought the bill was going to cause more and more spending. So him and President Trump have parted ways. I think the last I heard is Trump said he had no intentions of talking with Elon. He hadn't talked with him, and just considers him as out. So Elon is out, and find out that a lot of the Doge team is out. Some of them were hired by different agencies to stay on in government, but some of the people left with Elon. So Doge is probably going to be happening, but in a different fashion, a different form. All the grandiose stuff that they were doing, which was getting the headlines, be out. But that doesn't mean that they're going to stop working, trying to shrink the government, which isn't necessarily in and of itself a bad thing, but that it's in how you do it in a systematic way that you don't end up throwing the baby out with the bathwater, or giving away secrets or open up our data to too many people who really aren't authorized or need to know everybody's personal data. So it's going to be a reincarnation of Doge in a sense, or it'll still be going on like one of those zombie creatures. You just can't kill it. It rise back up on us. But it was interesting to see some of the tweets and texts that they were putting out on, not on Facebook, but on Twitter and on Trump's, I think, Truth Social page that was getting out to people. So that's one that I guess it was bound to happen because Elon was getting a little too much light, and that probably wasn't sitting well anyway. But one of the interesting things is he thought that Trump should be impeached and that J.D. Vance should be a president. So I don't know if he was trying to cause some dissension between Trump and Vance, as to make Trump think that Vance is looking for his job. I thought that was really weird that he put in that, well, Vance should be the president. Throw him out and make Vance the president. But we'll see how this goes, how this unfolds in the future as things are going forward and forward. But before we go any further, I want to give you a little bit of news from the Urban Network News channel. So we're going to go to Urban Network News right about now. So sit back, relax, and check out what's happening in Urban Network News.
This is UNN Urban Network News, national news and information for and about people of color. I'm Alexander Caden, a 16-year-old African-American. This is UNN Urban Network News, national news and information for and about people of color. I'm Alexander Caden, a 16-year-old African-American track athlete from California who recently won the 400-meter sprint at a state championship, had her gold medal taken away after officials ruled that her post-race celebration was unsportsmanlike. She celebrated her win by spraying a small fire extinguisher on her shoes. 2 years after winning her first Grand Slam title, Coco Gauff has taken home her second by winning the 2025 French Open. The president says he's deploying 2,000 California National Guard troops to Los Angeles to respond to immigration protests over the objections of the California governor. Several lawsuits have been filed in Louisiana calling for a freeze on development of further petrochemical plants in Louisiana's Cancer Alley, which is one of the many examples of environmental racism in the country. Wisconsin Democrats plan to reintroduce a bill for a missing black women's task force after Republicans rejected it twice. Tulsa, Oklahoma's new mayor has proposed a $100 million private trust as part of a reparations plan to help descendants of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. The grieving parents of a 7-year-old black child who died hours after being hit by a car were charged with involuntary manslaughter after allowing him and his 10-year-old brother to walk home unoccupied by an adult from a nearby grocery store. The Department of Labor says that all Job Corps centers will pause operations nationwide by June 30th of this year. You've been listening to UNN Urban Network News, national news and information for and about people of color, sponsored by ahintofmoss.com.
All right. So that's what we've got in the Urban Network News. A lot going on. And it was kind of interesting that the parents were charged by for letting their 10-year-old and his brother walk to the store, and one got hit by a car. Tragic. Is it neglect if you do that? I know when I was coming up, which was way back in the ancient times, but man, if that would have been against the law, we were breaking the law constantly because we ran to the store for everybody in the neighborhood at 10, maybe even before 10. But you went to the neighborhood store, and there were some busy streets in our neighborhood stuff, but and we walked to school and crossed those streets and did a lot of things that today would be considered maybe unsafe. Maybe drivers are a little less attentive and may be distracted, but I don't know, 10 years old, 11 years old, when do you let kids go on their own? It's just like the latchkey kids. When we were coming up, a lot of us had the keys to the house to get in, and that was in the 4th grade or 5th grade where you came home and you let yourself in the house. You was taught how to open the lock and go on in and shut the door, and they said, better not let nobody else in the house. And that was it. You stayed in and watched cartoons or what have you, but couldn't nobody come over. Parenting now is a whole different ball game. So just hope the parents don't get slapped with too much of a penalty for that. I don't know. It probably is wrong in some ways, but yeah, I don't know. That's one that we'd have to judge on as time goes. But matter of fact, you guys might want to chime in on when is it safe to let your child cross the street by themselves to be able to go to the store and stuff. What age would you say is an appropriate age for that? Let me know. We'll be glad to hear from you at KUAW Radio on the BFTAA and More show. Also, over the weekend, we had a great time. At the center. There was a Black History Month. We had our radio shows going on, and it was really a good time to just start experiencing this summer feel. The summer feel. We didn't have students in, but it was letting us know that summertime is here and it's coming, and we've got some things coming up. Juneteenth is on the way, and there's a few other events that are going to be happening over the summer. One of which is the MR 340, the 340-mile paddle race to from Kansas City to St. Louis. This is the 20th year of the MR 340, and you can use any boat or stand up paddleboard or anything, but it has to be human powered. You can't use any motors, no sails, nothing to assist you other than a paddle and your own strength. It can be leg paddled or paddled by arm and hand, doesn't care, but it's going to be a good race. We had last year over 600 entrants and probably about 300 boats. Some of the boats had multiple people in them. But this year it's even building up to be as good. Last time I looked, there was 168 entrants, mostly, well, a lot of solo boats. I'll go back in there and check that, but there's a lot of solo boats, which I go down in a solo kayak, and I have a buddy of mine. So Rayfield and I will be hitting the river again this year. We're going to our unfinished business program so that we can complete the 340-mile race. So that's something that's going to be happening pretty soon. Also in the news, we saw where California, the president called out the National Guard to protect, I guess, the ICE officials. It seems like they're saying it's a little overreach. The governor of California said, he hadn't been consulted. They didn't think things were that out of control. The police and stuff was handling it. President Trump nationalized those and also has some Marines stand on standby to come in for that. So they're making a big deal out of this, and it seems like maybe we're a little bit overreacting, but it's going to be interesting to see how this goes going forward. The nationalizing the National Guard or putting them under the president's control is something that hasn't been done since Lyndon Johnson in the civil rights days, where governors of states sometimes would not protect African American students or African Americans who were trying to integrate schools. And in the case with Johnson, where they were marching from Selma to Montgomery, from Montgomery to Selma, for a civil rights demonstration, and they to make sure that everyone was safe because the governor was against a peaceful march. That Lyndon Johnson did federalize the troops, the National Guard at that time, to protect the marchers. Now the protesters are being, I won't say assaulted, but they're being basically put as the villains against the government, who were there to enforce deportation matters, the ICE program, which in and of itself is being done maybe a little cavalier, haphazardly. We don't know. There's lawsuits on that, but we do feel that if we're a country of laws, one does not justify the other if we break them. So the rioters, I wouldn't even call them rioters, but I think they did break some windows and set some cars on fire, and rocks were thrown at the ICE officials. So that was definitely considered illegal acts by a crowd. So, but the police were there to do it, and there was no warning or no uh, pre-consultation, basically, to say that it's getting out of hand and that we're going to send in the troops if you don't do something. Usually, when that's being done, the president will notify the governor and tell them that they need to do something or we will do something. And there's a little time in there to react. From what I'm hearing, and I don't know if this is be all the way true, but that the president says he did notify him that he was sending in troops and then just did it. So, what kind of consultation, what kind of talk was done? I guess that's going to be coming out in the near future about it. But one thing we do see is that President Trump is not going to be hesitating to use the power of what would I say, the power of the office and of the federal military. So you got some Marines on standby. Even in times of some of our larger riots in cities, I don't know when active duty military, the National Guard is one thing, but to say you're going to send in active duty military sounds like it's an insurrection or something going on, like somebody is really storming the White House like they did back in 2019, 2022, when they stormed the White House. That was something where you would have said, yeah, you need to call out the troops and stuff because our nation's capital was under siege. But in this case, I don't think it's that far for the threatened use of the active military, because active military comes in and they're generally trained to kill. They're not trained to take prisoners. They do take prisoners, but that's not the basic Marine Corps and Army's talent. Their thing is to come in and to attack. They're not a police force. So we're going to have to see how the government continues to perform in that regard. But I want to tell you that we're working on our new webpage. This is a big segue, snap right around. That we are working on our new webpage, that we are still doing some upgrading to the programming and what we do here at KUAW Radio. So right now it is not what we want it to be, but we're going to be working on improving and making KUAW one of the premier radio stations on the internet. So we're going to be working on that. Well, we're working on that right now and changing over the ownership of the web page to Black Family Technology Awareness Association. Getting a new web page will be the start of that. We're also planning on doing some of our own video broadcasting from a server ourselves, so it won't be on anybody's platform. You'll just be able to go to our web page and view it from there. So there'll be a lot of things coming up in the near future. We hope to have some good information out to you and some things that we can be proud of and give you some of the inside scoops and some of the things that are really going on in the community that matter to African Americans. We also want to cover some of the national news and definitely, most definitely, the technology news, because that is what we're all about. I was in a conversation this weekend at my church, and there are a lot of different ideas about where technology is going and what we can do and what we need and how much data is being used for us, against us, without our knowledge and things like that, tracking people and all, that we really need to do some research on it and kind of get the inside story so that we can put out, it's one thing to know somebody is watching you, but when you start just assuming that they can watch everything, you can start getting a little paranoid. And we don't want to spread any false information that may make for paranoia, but we want to give people the truth about what is available, what is going on, and if anything that they need to try and do about it. So we're going to be about that, because I think there is a need. There is definitely a need to know exactly what is going on. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I want to move this picture over just a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So we're going to be giving you some more information on that. We're going to be looking at this AI thing because everybody's still a little bit wondering about what's going on with AI. What is AI? How does it affect our lives? So we need to work more on getting you information on that and how you can use or how you can um, be aware of what AI is doing. So continue to listen to us, continue to tune into this station, KUAW, for a lot of your latest news and the BFTAA and more show. I'll be here every Monday from 5 to 5:45. Today I'm going to end it a little bit earlier because we've been doing some other work around here and I haven't been able to prepare. And I don't want to just keep talking and talking and talking without something conclusive to say or something that is enlightening to you. So I want to thank you for listening today. I will continue to broadcast and be sure and be here every Monday from starting at 5 o'clock for the BFTAA and more show. Thank you, and we will see you next week.